here is something that will make you uncomfortable if you are honest enough to sit with it. The biggest obstacle standing between you and the life you say you want is not your circumstances, not your past, not your lack of resources or opportunity or time. It is the collection of stories you have been quietly telling yourself for years, stories so familiar and so well rehearsed that they no longer feel like stories at all. They feel like facts. They feel like reality. And that is precisely what makes them so dangerous, because you cannot fight a lie that you have fully convinced yourself is the truth. The most common lie, the one that lives in almost every person who has ever wanted to change something about their life and has not, is some version of "I will start when the time is right." When things settle down at work. When the kids are older. When I have more money saved. When I feel more ready. When life gets a little less chaotic. It sounds so reasonable when you say it. It sounds like patience, like wisdom, like strategic thinking. But what it actually is, underneath all that reasonable-sounding language, is fear wearing a very convincing disguise. Because the time is never going to be right. The chaos is not a temporary condition that will eventually resolve itself and leave behind a clean, open runway for you to finally begin. The chaos is life. And the people who changed their lives did not do it when everything calmed down. They did it in the middle of everything, precisely because they stopped waiting for a stillness that was never coming. The second lie is more subtle and in many ways more damaging because it carries a layer of self-awareness that makes it feel enlightened rather than avoidant. It sounds like this: I know what I need to do, I just need to figure out how. And so the person reads another book, watches another video, takes another course, consumes more and more information about the change they want to make, and mistakes that consumption for progress. There is a name for this in psychology. It is called productive procrastination, and it is one of the most effective ways the human mind has ever invented to feel busy while staying completely still. Knowing is not the problem. You already know. Almost everyone already knows what they need to do. The question that actually matters is why you are so committed to not doing it, and the answer to that question is never found in another podcast episode. Then there is the lie that is perhaps the cruelest of all because it disguises itself as humility. It sounds like I am just not the kind of person who can do that. I am not disciplined enough. I am not smart enough. I am not the type who sticks with things. I have always been this way. And the reason this particular lie is so cruel is that it takes what is really just an untested belief about yourself and dresses it up as self-knowledge, as if you have done the research and the results are in and this is simply who you are. But the truth is that identity is not fixed. Neuroscience has shown us repeatedly that the brain remains plastic and changeable throughout a person's entire life, that new habits genuinely rewire neural pathways, that the person you believe yourself to be is far less permanent than it feels. You are not the kind of person who cannot change. You are a person who has not changed yet, and those two things are not even close to the same. One of the quieter lies, the one people rarely examine because it lives underneath all the others, is the belief that staying the same is safe. That not changing protects you from failure, from judgment, from the discomfort of trying something and discovering it is harder than you thought. But staying the same is not neutral. It is a choice with consequences just as real as any other choice, and those consequences accumulate slowly and silently until one day you look up and realize that the gap between the life you are living and the life you wanted has become so wide that crossing it feels impossible. The person who never tried to change their relationship with money is still paying the price of that inaction years later. The person who kept putting off their health until later is still living in a body they are not comfortable in. Staying still feels safe in the moment. Over time it is one of the most costly decisions a person can make. And then there is the lie that wraps all the others together into something that sounds almost noble: I am doing this for other people. I cannot chase what I want because I have responsibilities. I cannot change because the people around me need me to stay exactly as I am. I cannot prioritize myself because that would be selfish. And yes, responsibilities are real and other people matter, and selfishness is genuinely something worth avoiding. But there is a version of this story that is not about responsibility at all. It is about using the people you love as a reason to avoid the terrifying work of becoming who you are supposed to be. The most generous thing you can do for the people in your life is not to sacrifice your growth for their comfort. It is to grow so completely into yourself that you become someone worth being around, someone with real energy to give rather than someone running on empty and calling it devotion. The hardest part of all of this is that these lies are not told by bad people or weak people. They are told by every single person who has ever stood at the edge of real change and felt the weight of what it would actually cost them to cross over. Because change is costly. It costs you the comfort of the familiar. It costs you certain relationships that were built on the old version of you. It costs you the excuse that your life turned out this way because of circumstances beyond your control. And for a lot of people, those are prices they are genuinely not ready to pay, which is fine, but the least you can do is be honest about it. Stop calling it timing. Stop calling it waiting for the right moment. Stop calling it being realistic. Call it what it is, a choice to stay where you are, and own that choice fully. Because the moment you stop hiding behind the lie is the moment you actually have a shot at changing your mind about it.